Okay, y'all. So attorney Buzbee, who is the attorney that has all of those civil suits against Diddy.
Yep.
He did have a civil suit in court that he amended to include Jay-Z, but that was voluntarily dismissed a few weeks ago. Now, this over the weekend, I broke a story. If you guys are following me anywhere, Instagram, Twitter, at Lauren LaRosa, we break news when we are outside of the Breakfast Club. I broke a story that the committee of grievances, which is like an ethics committee, essentially, they have denied attorney Buzbee's right to practice within the Southern District of New York. Now, this is a huge problem because majority of the civil cases that he currently has on record against Diddy are in the Southern District of New York. So if he is not able to move forward with them, they would either he would have to file to be able to come in on these cases pro hac vice, and we'll talk about what that means. But it's a big issue. Now, in response to this, when the news broke, attorney Buzbee posted something to his Instagram, and what he posted was that it was a appellate division from something from the appellate division of the Supreme Court of the state of New York, and this basically says that he does have a right to practice, or he has admission in the New York State Court, but it's basically a jurisdiction thing. But he does not have permission. His permission to practice within the Southern District of New York has been denied. Now, like I mentioned, it's a big issue, and because of that, the judge who's on a lot of those civil cases that he filed against Puff said to him, "Hey, I think that you should try to right now come in on these cases against Sean Combs as pro hac vice." And I told you guys that I would let you know what that meant. So pro hac vice is basically so this is like on or for occasion. So basically it's like him saying, hey, I'm going to be involved in these cases just solely this one time, but there may be other local attorneys or whoever that have, they're barred in these jurisdictions to be able to move forward with this. Just because if not, it looks like, because basically the committee who denied it, they were basically not upset, but what they leaned on was the fact that in a lot of the other cases before the one that Jay-Z was involved in came to light that there was no admission process, I guess, properly done.
Right.
He had still continued to do whatever he was doing without submitting these things, and he had submitted the one particularly for Jay-Z's case on January 29th. So they're basically telling him, like, you're not following like these easy rules and protocols, so you can't work here anymore. He's saying that this is not true, and that he's crossed his T's and dotted his I's, so he's going to be fine moving forward.
So how is it not true? How can he come out and say it's not true?
Well, what he specifically said is that he said he received many press inquiries over the weekend, and he makes no efforts to respond, but he rather make a one-time general statement and let various entities use the statement as they see fit. Over the past week, he's got multiple inquiries from friends and colleagues asking why he's not barred, or why he's barred from practicing law in New York State, and offering their assistance. He says that he wants to make it clear he's licensed to practice law in New York. He's in good standing with the state bar and have always been. Although he prefers Texas, he's proud of the legal work that he's doing in New York, and he called all of the reports clickbait. Now, I will say, when I released this story, it was from an actual document, a court document that was from the grievances committee. And what I think he's going to try and argue here, or what he's going to have to do to reverse this if he can, I don't even know if that's possible, is just show that there was some proof, I guess, of him submitted these admissions. But I think right now, in my opinion, I'm not an attorney, what he's doing is he's using like technical terms to try and talk around the fact. The fact is that this committee is saying you didn't follow rules within the Southern District of New York, and that's a problem. And no, you cannot lead this. Like, we need you to come in.
So what happens to all the people that he has that's suing Diddy? Do they have to go to another? They have to find another attorney?
No. So what'll happen if from what I understand, if the pro hac vice thing does happen, he'll still be able to be involved, but he'll be working with more local attorneys that are actually okay in that jurisdiction.
Gotcha.
If not, I don't know what happens. I don't know how he litigates. And if that does happen, I have no idea what happens then.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so that back and forth is happening right now. But also too with Puff right now, over the weekend or this Monday, his team filed something that I thought was interesting. They're pushing back on the criminal side. They're saying that all of the evidence that the prosecutor's office gathered in those raids need to be suppressed. Suppressed would mean that you can't use it in court. And they're basically saying that the reason why this stuff should be suppressed is that in order to obtain the search warrants that they did, they're accusing the prosecutor's office of using witnesses that they basically knew weren't credible, witnesses that they knew basically didn't have like really good grounds to stand on. They talk about Cassie particularly, and saying that they now have proof that everything that the prosecutor's office said about her involvement on these tapes or whatever was consensual. So to use that to make it look anything but consensual to then get a search warrant is illegal, and they're saying that if it isn't suppressed, they want to have a hearing to just look into the prosecutor's conduct of how they got the search warrant to get this information. So they're like, yo, we need to take and I think they're doing this because this other case just got dismissed on the other side. So they're probably going to try and lean into that.
Well, what happened to racism? Wasn't it racism last week?
Yeah, it's racism last week. This week it is that they violated his the way they got that they got the search warrant was incorrect. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's going to listen. He's fighting for his life.
He's going to try every angle.
Yeah.
And he just recently had an attorney who backed off the case and said that, I don't want to be involved. It's not the lead attorney. It's not Mark Agnifilio. It was a different guy, but he backed off and said he didn't want to be involved anymore. So I don't know what's happening.
But they said
what was that about? Did you check to see any sources about that, Lord? I wanted to know why did he back up off the case?
They said that he was arguing with I guess the main attorney. Like him and the main attorney didn't get along and they were seeing differently. Was that what happened? That's what I read.
So they're saying that there's been a power struggle. His name is Anthony Rico. He says that there's been a power struggle going on between him and lead attorney Mark Agnifilio for several months, and it finally came to a head. He said
somebody got to be the top and somebody got to be the bottom, basically.
There you go.
Oh my God.
And somebody didn't want to be the situation.
That's right. That's how it goes. You got to play your position. You got to know when to bend, when to win. Now,
what?
I never heard that. I know you heard that one, Charlamagne.
I ain't never heard that in my life, but I've heard them all. But I ain't never heard. Sometimes you got to know when to bend and when to lend. I like that though.
I know you do.
You like that, Daddy? Look at you.
You like that, the bender or the lender?
No, God, you need to relax.
Party. What's wrong with you?
But yeah, coming back to it though, I do want to say that this whole thing with attorney Buzby, we will be watching because I'm very interested to see what will happen in this. And again, I'm not an attorney, but from what it seems, the Southern District of New York is tired of him right now
because he has the majority of the accusers.
Yeah, he has over 100 accusers civilly on the civil side. But again, remember,
it's not looking good.
The amended filing with Jay-Z that also
for
had
Busby.
For Buzby that also had something to do with Diddy as well was voluntarily dismissed, which is a big there's a question mark when that happens with no settlement. It's like, woo, what are you admitting to here? What's happening?
So what else would be interesting too, Lauren? I would love to hear what the criminal attorneys think of the civil attorneys. And what I mean by that is when you're trying to fight a criminal case, right? And you're putting together a jury. A lot of times, not even a lot of times, in this situation, it feels like the civil cases are louder than his actual criminal cases
because they're more descriptive. They're out of the box.
We're learning more. We haven't heard nothing about the criminal side. Remember,
nothing.
Like we don't know who's on the tapes. We don't know what. Like we still don't know a lot about that.
But and surprisingly, most times people wait. Like most attorneys will wait till after the criminal to start doing all the civil stuff because they're waiting to see what evidence they have or what they can use. It's weird that it seems like they're trying to get that money sooner than later.
But no, yes, that's true. But I just wonder what the criminal attorneys think of what's going on civilly and how is that affecting their criminal case.
And I will say attorney Buzby has been an attorney for some time. I'm not an attorney, and I keep saying that because when I tell y'all this is a very beginner mistake, so I am very interested to see how this plays out. This is a very beginner mistake. If he had just done this earlier, like put in the admissions and everything he was supposed to do, we wouldn't even be here right now having this conversation. So I am extremely interested to see how this plays out, and it does not look good for those other civil suits if it doesn't play out well in his favor.
Right. All right. Well, that is Jess with the Mess with Lola Rosa. Charlamagne!
Yes.
Who you giving that donkey to, man?
Well, this morning, we need the world's richest man, Elon Musk, to come to the front of the congregation. We'd like to have a word with him, please.
All right, we'll get to that next. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.